Mary Beth, you've had an amazing life.
Yeah.
Hi, everyone. Good morning from CSW68. We are so excited to have you here. If you can just mute yourselves, that would be great. And if you could enter your name, your organization into the chat, that would be great. Your name and organization into the chat. And just please be sure to mute yourselves and we'll get started in just a couple of minutes. Good morning, everyone. Just welcoming everyone here. It's so exciting to see everybody coming in and everyone just saying hello in the chat. So if you've just joined us, please mute yourself and just add your name and the organization that you're affiliated with in the chat box. Thank you.
Good morning, everybody. We're going to get started. My name is Rosemary Barbary, and you've been greeted by Seleka Frank, along with Jillian De Sousa Natharis. We're the NGO CSW Orientation Committee, and we have a full program for you today. We know some of you have been to CSW before, some of you are new, but we have a lot of information today. Do know that this is being recorded. So if you miss any information, we'll be giving you the recording afterwards. And please mute yourselves so that we can peaceably proceed through the program without any interruptions. We're going to start with an interactive component. Essentially, everybody will be placing themselves on a map of the globe so we get some idea of who we have attending today. So if we can launch the Mentimeter. Please pin yourself on the map.
US.
you should see an invitation asking you to join on the screen. And you should be able to simply click on where you're from on the world map. I see it's being populated. And we have people joining us from all over the globe. If for some reason this doesn't work for you, no worries. This is just to get a sense of all the people that are joining us today, some of whom might be joining us in wee hours of the night or very early morning. Here in New York, it is morning, and we're very pleased to have so many people make the effort to be with us today.
Sorry, I have a question. It means from where we join to the meeting or our nationality. It means I'm Iranian, but I'm in Canada. Your means is we join to this meeting from Canada, for example, yeah?
Yes, well, it's just to get a sense of who's with us today. You're welcome to choose either.
Okay, okay.
We're not saving this information for any purpose. We just want everybody to realize that this is indeed the global women's movement.
Thank you.
And that we'll all be talking together from many different places around the globe, many different time zones.
How are you doing?
Fantastic. Thank you, Annabelle. We have Annabelle Gregg helping us today from the office. And now our next poll is going to ask you where you're working.
Sorry, having a little trouble with the poll. 1 second.
Okay, so you have two polls in front of you. Where are you working, and how many times have you attended the CSW or the NGO CSW Forum? This is to give us some idea so we can frame things well today in our discussion and in the Q&A. And it's always good to see newcomers.
I answered more than once because I've attended once before, but I think more than once is not exactly appropriate. This would be my second time, but I've not attended yet, right?
They want to do a poll, but I don't know how to answer it.
Well, welcome,
I
welcome.
don't know how to do it. So
So you should see a pop-up poll asking where you're working and how many times you have attended the CSW. And Annabelle, whenever you're ready, if we could see the results.
Right.
Okay, so we have a bit of a mixture here. Global processes, regional, national, local. and in terms of, pretty much a split. So for a little over half of you, this is your first time, and a little less than half, you've participated more than once. All right, thanks very much, Annabelle. And now I will introduce my colleague Jillian, who will give an overview of our time together today.
Thanks, Rosemary, and thanks for the poll. It gives us an idea that 56% of you are joining for the first time. So hello, everyone, and welcome. My name is Jillian D'Souza Nazareth. Thank you for choosing to join us at today's orientation. The session is a whirlwind of information as we talk you through an overview of the Commission on the Status of Women. Brenda from UN Women will join us and share information on official proceedings. Our forum producer, Huri, and executive committee member, Sulekha Frank, will run us through the plethora of items that make up the NGO Forum, both in person and virtually. We will hear from Rosa Lazardi, the vice chair of this committee and chair of the Advocacy and Research Group, on the committee's recommendations as shared with all member states. Annabelle and Rachel will cover what's in store for youth leaders and young professionals. And of course, we will take questions towards the end. The session is rich in content, dates, times, locations, links, but rest easy. As Rosemary said, the recording will be on our YouTube channel for your use. And to get us started, here are our fearless committee co-chairs, Pamela Morgan and Ivy Cook. Lady, the floor is yours.
Hello, everyone. Welcome, welcome to the orientation. You must be getting so excited. All of you, we are. We're very excited to have you. And so this is really the place where you're going to learn everything CSW. It's the introduction to CSW and the NGO Forum. And there will be time for questions. So yes, please sit back and enjoy.
Good morning and welcome. We're so pleased to have you here. We want you to know how much we appreciate your presence and your patience. We know that for some of you, the portal has given you unexpected treats and frustrations. And please know that we are working night and day to solve the issues. And at the end of this, we have to give Momin a big prize because he really works endlessly to try to make sure that everyone, every user has a good experience. So you're going to find so much information in today's session, and we hope that you will bring it right to the CSW68 and advocate, use advocacy as the tool to push the women's movement forward. Thank you.
Thank you, Pam. Thank you, Pam and Ivy, for the warm welcome to everyone. So if I can ask Annabelle to move to the next slide, please. Let's talk about how we got here, what is a little bit of the genesis of the Commission on the Status of Women. So this was established in 1947, where the original 15 government representatives were all women. And CSW forged a close relationship with NGOs in consultative status with ECOSOC, who were in fact invited to participate as observers. If you are here in New York in person for CSW, I recommend you take a look around the UN lobby, the outer wall of conference room 4. There is an excellent showcase of women who participated in the formulation of the UN Charter and the founding of CSW. From 1947 to 1962, the Commission focused on setting global standards and formulating international conventions. So for example, in 1951, assisted by ILO, the Commission assisted ILO in the Convention concerning equal remuneration for men and women workers for work of equal value. This eventually enshrined the principle of equal pay for equal work. In 1953, the Convention on the Political Rights of Women. In 1957, the Convention on the Nationality of Married Women. In 62, the Convention on the Consent to Marriage, minimum age for marriage. So there was a lot of global level work that the Commission was in fact doing. In 1963, the General Assembly requested the Commission to draft a declaration on the elimination of discrimination against women, which the Assembly adopted in 67. In 1979, the legally binding Convention on the Elimination of All Forms of Discrimination Against Women, or CEDAW as we know it, was adopted and open for signature. In the chat box, our colleagues will add the CEDAW document for your use if you ever feel you want to read it. 189 countries have in fact ratified CEDAW. 1 country simply signed and 3 countries have yet to take action. We're sharing here in the chat box an interactive map which will help you find your country. From 1976 to 1985 was also the UN Decade for Women, focusing on equality, development, and peace. And then, in fact, in 1995, we had the Beijing Declaration and Platform for Action. This was a declaration that had a more holistic approach and recognized 12 broad areas of focus to ensure gender equality. Next tab. So here's a list of the 12 items that broadly covered all parts of what the UN believed or member states believed were requiring help to achieve gender equality. In 2010, a set of the UN agencies working on women's rights merged to form UN Women, who now serve as the Secretariat for the Commission. Let's cut to 2015 and we have the Sustainable Development Goals, something all 193 countries signed on to, achieving by 2030. So gender equality, or SDG 5, with its corresponding targets were born. And if you map the 12 areas of the Beijing Platform for Action with that of the targets of SDG 5, if you can leave the slide on the targets for SDG 5, please. There is almost, thank you, Annabelle, there is almost 100% overlap in asking for in the targets asking to achieve SDG 5. Therefore, achievement of SDG 5 is equal to asking to the achievement of the Beijing Platform for Action. So where does that leave us today? This year's the priority theme is accelerating the achievement of gender equality and the empowerment of all women and girls by addressing poverty, strengthening institutions, and financing with a gender perspective. Topics that can be mapped to SDG 1, SDG 5, and SDG 16 at the very least. Next slide, please. Thanks. And then the next one. This year's review theme is social protection systems, access to public services, and sustainable infrastructure for gender equality and the empowerment of women and girls, blending together SDG 5 with SDG 9. Now let's talk a little bit about who works on this priority theme. There are 45 member states with 1 representative each who serve as member of the Commission, each for a 4-year period. The geographical breakup as 13 from Africa, 11 from Asia, 9 from Latin America and the Caribbean, 8 from Western Europe, and 4 from Eastern Europe. In the chat, we'll add a link to the list of the 45 members who are currently following the Commission. So you can have a look and check if your country is part of the Commission this year. These 45 member states are led by a bureau, a team of member states, each with a 2-year term, who work to ensure a successful outcome of the Commission. This year's bureau is chaired by the Philippines, with co-chairs Argentina, Latvia, the Kingdom of the Netherlands, and Cabo Verde. You can find the details on your screen of their names and designations. So the 45 member states led by the Bureau have their work cut out for them with ministerial segments, next slide please, expert panel discussions, reviewing emerging themes, also known as official sessions, which I'm sure many of you will attend either in person or via UN Web TV. This is the Bureau and the members of the Commission at work. Yes, it's a lot. Yes, it gets complicated, but this is what it takes to move the world towards consensus. Next slide, please. What is the tangible outcome of the Commission? It is an agreed conclusion. To achieve this, work begins in the summer of the previous year to bring together experts on the priority theme to engage, inform, advise, and soon after, the Secretary General publishes a report with an opinion on the theme and a suggested direction. The member states then begin to put together a zero draft considering the expert opinions and the SG's report and begin to negotiate to arrive at a consensus. As of 5th of February, the zero draft is out and we're sharing the link in the chat box for your use. Informal negotiations are underway, and by the 22nd of March, the last day of CSW, we will have an agreed conclusion, the top of the pyramid, what you see here. And that's pretty much self-explanatory, a conclusion on which there is member state agreement. It is then incumbent on every one of us from government, private sector, media, NGOs to implement what has been agreed on. And this is not an easy process. It's complicated to get consensus, and those of you who have been here in previous years will know that this goes on right to the last minute, where member states are incredibly fervent in how they would like to shape this conclusion. With 64 countries going to the polls this year and 49% of the world's voting age population will decide our collective political leadership, I would say vote like our rights depend on it. And with that, I'm going to pass to Rosemary.
Okay, we're trying to keep you awake through all this information. So we're going to have a quick pop quiz, as is our custom. The question is, what is the guiding document for the Commission on the Status of Women?
We're at almost 300 out of the 440 of you. I'll let it get to 300 before I
All
close
right.
it.
Thank you, everyone, for just giving us a minute. We got our poll results in, and everyone said Beijing Declaration Platform for Action, and that's amazing. Everyone here is so educated. We are just waiting for our speaker to arrive, so just give us a couple of seconds here, and they will be here very shortly.
To remind everyone that next year is Beijing plus 30, a very important year. Our next speaker is from UN Women. She's having some difficulties joining.
Okay, I think she's here.
So
Brenda.
next slide, please.
Hi, I'm here. I'm just I'm trying to switch on my camera and I see that it's not working.
We're very happy to hear you, Brenda. Welcome, everyone. Brenda Bekbasega, the communications analyst at UN Women, is here with us today to give us information from UN Women, a brief overview. Brenda, even if your camera's not working, we're quite happy to hear you.
Okay, thank you. And I apologize for the tardiness. The change of time had me conflicting with another meeting, but here I am anyways. And I also apologize ahead of time if I am repeating anything because I didn't catch the first part of this meeting. But I will continue based on the ask on your side, which is just to go over the CSW and in particular, the role of the division that I represent. I am the communication analyst in the civil society division of UN Women. We have a particular role in terms of what we facilitate and how we manage the CSW. I will go over that very quickly. UN Women, as many of you know, is the custodian of the CSW session, and the overall management of CSW is undertaken in two parts, at least, and with two parts of the UN Women House. There is the member state intergovernmental division that handles the partnerships with member states and the engagement with member states, and then you have the civil society or non-governmental organization partnership and engagement, and that is managed by the civil society division. What, if I can, just allow me just to articulate specifically what we do on our end in terms of engaging NGOs during CSW. Our role is essentially to facilitate the participation of NGOs. We do this in a number of ways. One of the things that, and our preparation around CSW begins in earnest months before March. We start around October, where we have a solicitation when we call out to NGOs, and these are NGOs that are ECOSOC accredited, as you know, and we ask them to submit statements if they are interested. These are written statements that are going to be posted on both our websites as well as the UN documentation site. And we stipulate instructions on what statements should look like. The formatting of statements is something that we do on our end as well. And generally, we are looking for statements, or we're encouraging NGOs to submit statements that have very close bearing on the priority theme or the review theme. But we're not 100% prescriptive on that, but that's essentially what we would like to see. So we start off with the oral statements, but actually before that, we also help facilitate the registration of NGOs, and this is more technical in as far as answering queries and helping NGOs register to the events. There are certain stipulations around that, and oftentimes there are issues around that, and our office manages the registration of NGOs. This is quite apart from the registration or the engagement of member states, which we do not manage, but we could answer queries around that. Just so you know, the deadline, of course, for the written statements has long expired. You can go on our website. I would encourage you to go on our website just to see what statements have already been posted. We receive anywhere from 175 to 300 annually. So it's quite a colossal amount, and it could go even higher depending sometimes on the theme or just depending on whether NGOs are interested in submitting written statements. We also have, at the beginning of the year, we also there's also an opportunity for NGOs to intervene at the general discussion, as well as in a number of interactive dialogues that are conducted during the session. And for this process, like in about, I think it's either end of January or mid-January, we send a communication to NGOs asking them to submit their interest into any one of these opportunities. And the expiration for this, deadline for this, ended already February 26th, and we go through a selection process. It's not just our division, but it's also other parts of the UN House selecting NGOs. And we have, you know, quite as much as possible, we try to make sure that we have, you know, a good geographic balance, as well as other criteria such as sectoral representation. We look at whether NGOs are speaking for the first time. We also give preference to NGOs who are representing other groups, because it's never really a guarantee that NGOs can speak. The way the general discussions, for instance, are conducted, and this is quite different from the interactive dialogues as well, but with the general discussions, which is an opportunity for NGOs to speak along with member states as well, presenting official statements. There's never, you know, on a yearly basis, as much as we try, there never is a guarantee that every single NGO will be able to speak. But I think over the years, for those of you who have been doing this for many years, it's gotten better. And I think a lot of that is owing to the advocacy and efforts on our part to ensure that NGOs get to speak in between member states as much as possible. If some of you may remember, years ago, it used to be that NGOs would speak at the very end, and there would be strict time restrictions on that. And sometimes we would only get like a couple of NGOs who would be able to have their statements. And over the years, depending on whether or not we get the support of the chair, we might or might not, but we might be able to intertwine NGO statements in between member states. And so this is allowed for more NGOs to actually speak during the general discussions, which is a good thing. So the session overall is, you know, follows several elements. There are official meetings, the ministerial segment. These are usually closed. As some of you know, the CSW is an intergovernmental process, so therefore it is led by member states. And what we say is that the member states then give permission or allowances to NGOs to participate in various ways. I've already outlined some of the ways that NGOs can participate through the oral interventions. But the negotiations that are pursued, which result in an outcome and consent document, are processes that NGOs are not a part of. They are not permitted into the room to be part of the negotiations, but there are creative ways in which NGOs can be a part of that process. One of them is the national delegations that member states come with. Oftentimes, they may have civil society participation, and those individuals then become very instrumental in feeding back information on the NGOs. This, along with NGO briefings that are held during the session, which UN Women works very closely with NGO CSW on, where you get guidance and updates on the negotiation processes. So I've talked about the general discussion. I've talked about the interactive dialogues. Something to highlight that might be of interest to some of you is our engagement with youth and the support that we have towards youth. We have two major engagements during the session. The first is, it takes place on the 14th of March. It's an interactive dialogue with youth representatives. The other one is a youth forum that takes place on the 15th, 16th, and 17th of March throughout the session. And we have a small unit, division within the civil society division that manages all our youth engagement. And they're quite expansive in terms of where they have youth, what they have them doing. And any questions that you might have in respect to youth engagement, but also just general inquiries, I would ask you to send an email, and we can share this. I can ask our organizers to share this with you. It's csw@unwomen.org, csw@unwomen.org. You can send inquiries there. One thing I forgot to mention also is regarding the agreed conclusions. A draft conclusion has already been circulated. You can find a lot of the details that I'm going over with you this morning on our website. Just, you know, UN Women, you can just type in CSW68 UN Women, you'll be directed to the CSW website. There's a draft agreement that has been already reviewed and circulated. I think it was shared in early February. Negotiations are going to take place beginning the 14th of March. And their adoption, if there is an adoption, because this is not always a guarantee, but fingers crossed, there will be an adoption and a consensus on the agreed conclusions, and that will happen at the closing, which is the 22nd of March. Other efforts that we make as UN Women include a co-signed letter that we co-sign between the ED and the CSW chair. We send annually a letter to all member states advocating for civil society representation. And one of the main ways, like I mentioned earlier, is through encouraging member states to include civil society, both in terms of consultations leading to the CSW, which will be very important next year for the review period, but also as part of their national delegations. And we put particular focus as well on youth being part of the national delegations. We will continue. We have done this throughout, sending NGO advisories to all our partners who are ECOSOC accredited. I just wanted you also to know that information on the side events is already posted. I would encourage you to go on our website to take a look. Most of the side events are webcast. Not all of them are, but most of them are webcasts. For those who are not ECOSOC accredited, this will be an opportunity for you to engage virtually, which is a huge shift from what we've done in the past. I think that's owing to COVID. A lot of access to CSW is now virtual. And I think there are about 270 side events. So that's a good regular number. Lastly, I do want to talk about something of a sensitive nature, if you will, and it's the reality of which we are living these days, and it has to do with the acts of intimidation and some of the issues that we face. I don't know if you've covered this already, but just really quickly, I just wanted to go over how UN Women is supporting and just express our support towards activists and women human rights defenders who do participate at CSW, but also just generally. As many of you know, the acts of intimidation and reprisal are particularly significant for feminist civil society, especially in around intergovernmental forums such as the CSW. Youth, women human rights defenders, just general civil society activists, bring a critical local, regional, and national level concerns to the attention of the international community. And they do so often as agents of progressive change with indispensable contribution to the fulfillment of gender equality. So their access to UN spaces and the ability to engage directly in human rights mechanisms such as this is absolutely critical. We recognize that. However, as OHCHR often reminds us, when an individual or organization is targeted for having cooperated or engaged with the UN, this oftentimes, far too often results in the silencing or self-censorship of others and has devastating consequences for civic space. I'm not telling you anything that you do not know. Feminist organizations, women's rights, gender equality activists, and so forth are by no means immune to these threats and what can sometimes turn into attacks of deadly consequence. Coordinated forms of retaliation, multi-tiered smear campaigns, cyber attacks, which many of our youth experience, surveillance. This is just to name a few. These are sadly experienced by many advocates. The CSW is not immune to these realities. Those engaging with the UN and the advancements of rights agendas are particularly prone to this. I just wanted to remind all of you and to iterate very strongly that UN Women is committed to monitoring and reporting all cases of intimidation and reprisal. We have been doing this for quite a number of years, but in the last few years, of course, we have been seeing either arguably an increase of intimidations or just simply an increase of reported acts of intimidation. And so we are Monitoring that, we ask that we have created a dedicated email address. I will provide it right here. It is a civic, CIVIC .space, SPACE at unwomen.org. I will repeat that again, civic.space at unwomen.org. And we encourage all civil society advocates, youth representatives, delegates, and other CSW participants to submit cases of intimidation and reprisal, and we will do the necessary to make sure that they are addressed or that they go to the correct channels and mechanisms that have been set up in the wider UN as in a timely manner. I think that's it for me. I hope I have covered what I need to cover. I don't know, I know we're not doing questions and answers, and I'm unable to see the chat at the same time, so I don't know if there are any questions that anybody has posed, if there is a need for further elaboration on some of the processes that I outlined. Thank you.
Thank you, Brenda. You gave us a really great overview, and we're really grateful for the last part of it, as there are concerns this year about those issues. We have Q&A at the end, and we're running over time. So Brenda, I'd like to suggest that if we have any questions remaining that we're unable to answer, that we'd like to forward them to you. But we thank you very much for joining us. Obviously, if you can wait till the Q&A, we're quite happy to include you, but we know you're under time pressures. So thanks so much for your very frank and informational time with us.
You're most welcome, and thank you very much. I don't think I can stay. I'm running from meeting to meeting. As you can imagine, it's a hectic time. But yes, I would welcome any questions. I will direct them to my colleagues. I do apologize. I didn't say at the beginning that I was actually sitting in place of my colleague, Sean McCride. So many of you may already know who he is. He's severely sick today. I hope I did him some justice, but we will respond to you. You have my email. Thank you.
Thanks very much. Okay, so we had a little poll, but we're going to skip it to move on to the NGO CS Forum overview, and I'm calling on my colleagues Suleka and Huri to take us through that.
Thank you so much, Rosemary. So I'm gonna call on Huri to do the first couple here, and then I'm gonna jump in right after her.
Hello, everyone. I'm sorry that I'm not going to be able to interact in the chat. I'm hoping my colleagues will do that while I take on this part. Let me concentrate a little bit. First of all, I already shared a document that has all our in-person parallel events. I want to concentrate a little bit on that because, as I said, it's part of what makes us so special as NGO CSW Forum organizers. We are obliged to provide space. Our mandate is to provide space for all of you to be heard, with everything that our brilliant Jillian explained and how Brenda was talking about UN Women, with everything that's going on in the background at the UN and everywhere else around the world, we gather to have our voices heard. And in order to do that, we struggle to find spaces for all of you to have those panel discussions, what we call parallel events. This year, we are lucky. We're back to 5 years ago, where we have 3 different buildings that we're hosting events in. And of course, it's in partnership with all of you. We don't organize the parallel events, you do. So the 3 buildings that I put in the comments already that we're working with is, of course, the Church Center, 44th Street and First Avenue. I know this is a lot of information, like Jillian said too, so please look for our recording and also the documents that we will send you already. The other one is our good old partner, Salvation Army. And if Victoria is on this call, I want to give her a big shout out for always hosting us there. She has 2 beautiful rooms that's going to have parallel events every 90 minutes for the next 2 weeks, starting on Monday. Please do not go to these buildings ahead of time. These are operating buildings that provide their space to us graciously during our CSW, and we want to honor their requests and their privacy. You can start attending from 8:30 Monday, March 11, and looking at rooms that you want to check out or attending events. And the third space is a is a comeback, the Armenian Cultural Center. You can call it anything you want, but let's just call it ACC. It's at 630 2nd Avenue, corner of 35th Street. And those events are all open and free. You do not need passes, you do not need to RSVP, but we beg of you to be considerate and come in and out as organizers within 15-minute spots, and then allow the other organizer to come in and prepare for them. Your session for in-person is always 90 minutes, not a minute longer. We will give you a 5-minute warning, and it is the organizer's responsibility to wrap it up and finish their conversations within that 90 minutes. I'm also very happy to announce that we do have a consultation day, and Ivy and Pam are doing a great job organizing an interactive, informative, high-level consultation day that will really kick off these 2 weeks for all of us. Consultation day is important for you to take notes and learn how you want to manage your own events, perhaps, or how you want to advocate. And hopefully somebody's sharing that. And then I'm going to just hand it over to Suleka. Do you want to talk about all the exciting stuff we organized at the Armenian Cultural Center that has 2 rooms for parallel events? So that's going to be ongoing the whole time for the first week. Oh, I should really point that out. It's only for the first week, right? And then we have some other exciting events planned there too. Suleka, do you want to take over?
Sure. And we're going to be doing regional caucuses from March 11th and 12th from 10:30 to 4:30 at the chapel at the Chapet Church Center at 777 United Nations Plaza, and then virtually on March 18th at 8 a.m., March 19th at 2 p.m., and March 22nd at 10 a.m. So all of this information is going to be in our virtual handbook. And again, you're going to have all this information also on this recording, so you can always come back to it. You can also take a screenshot with your phone if you want. I do that a lot just to kind of get things available. We will have 4 conversation circles held on Monday to Friday from March 18th to the 22nd, 10 a.m. They'll be accessible via vFairs, but Zoom links on our website calendar as well. Social justice, the social justice one will be in 4 languages, including English, Spanish, French, and Arabic. And all of this information can be seen on our website again. And if you forget your vFairs password, you can always go to our website. Next slide, please. Okay, so our exhibit booths are going to be at the Armenian Cultural Center at 630 2nd Avenue. We're really excited about these. They're going to be Tuesday, Wednesday, and Thursday, March 11th, 12th, and 13th, from 10 to 5 p.m. Did you want to add anything on that, Huri, on the exhibit booths?
No, I think it's going to be really exciting because it's in this huge ballroom. And if you don't mind, let's do this together, because I am so excited to announce that the in-person artisan fair is back. And you all have Rosemary to thank for. Rosemary and Margarita, who I hope is on the call as well, because they really pulled this off. And we have about 25 or 26 artisan fair tables. It's happening at the same time. On one side of the room will be artisan fair. On the other side is exhibit booths. That's all free. Come in and out. There will be coffee, tea, and water. And it'll be a great place to mingle, a great place to sit down and take your weight off your feet, plug in your computer to recharge. This is specifically because we heard you on our survey. You wanted spaces that you could just sit and relax and meet people. But we also, again, ask you to be considerate. We don't want this to be loud and rowdy. It's going to be really calm and exciting at the same time. And maybe you can take over the healing and community space, because I know we've been working on that together, Suleka.
Yeah, that's so great. Thank you, Huri. Yeah, and she said that it is going to be held in a ballroom. So, you know, the sounds do echo. So we definitely wanted to keep it in a somber and like quieter way so people can navigate together and be heard. So we are also providing healing space, a space for participants to decompress, recharge, and heal. This will be the first time we are creating a space like this. There's going to be yoga, meditation, Reiki, and we're also going to have licensed therapists on hand. It'll help us give us some foundational knowledge of what healing looks like from a few select approaches. And that'll be held from Monday, March 11th to Friday, March 15th. So Monday and Friday from 10 a.m. to 5 p.m. And that's also at the Armenian Church Center, the ACC at 630 2nd Avenue on 35th Street.
Okay, I think we did great. Suleika, high five.
High five.
All right, I'll go back to the chat, and I think we're gonna let Moment now take over for the virtual, the infamous Moment.
Okay, hello everyone. Can you guys hear me?
Absolutely, Moment. Thanks again for being here and being brave enough.
Yep, no problem. Okay, thank you so much everyone for joining us today. I hope you all are doing great. Let me just quickly share my screen and we can go through the demo. Okay, can you please make me co-host so I can share my screen?
Yep.
Okay, done.
Hello. Hello, everybody. Hello.
Okay, so can you see my screen?
Yeah, we can see you, man.
We can see your
Perfect.
screen.
So, perfect. So first we're gonna cover like how we can register for the virtual portal. So we have to land on this landing page first, NGO CSW68 forum.vface.com. Once you access this page, you will land on this landing page. You can scroll down, you can have some welcome messages, navigational video. Why should I attend? Some information related to the event. And how we can register. You can see the register button in the top right corner. And we have register now button over here as well. And in the top right corner, you will be able to see need technical assistance. We have a customer support email ID. So if you're facing any issue, you can reach out to us on this email ID and we can assist you accordingly. Now we can see how we can register for this virtual portal. We can have to click on register button. And we are going to land on this registration form. We have different fields of the information you have. You have to put your data over here. So let me just quickly do one registration. I can go with the email ID, this one. You have to enter your email ID, the organization name, your age, the gender, the country. And there's one question, is this your first time? Yes. And once you add all the information in the fields, just click on save. And once you register, you will be redirected to this thank you page. And similarly, you will be able to receive your confirmation email as well in your email address. And now how we can log in into the event, you have to coming back to the landing page again, click on the login button, enter your email ID and click on the login button again. So for login into the virtual portal, you don't need a password. You just have to enter your email ID, click on the login button, and you just be redirected to this, our exterior building space. This is our exterior lobby. Once you enter your email ID, click on the login button, you will be redirected to this space over here. Over here, you will be able to see this enter the NGO CSW68 forum. When you click on it, you will be redirected to the interior building, our home page. Once you land over here, you will see different navigations. On the top navigation bar, we have home, forum agenda, virtual exhibit booth, handbook ad sponsor, information desk, lounge, networking hub and attendees. And similarly, you can see the navigations over here as well. First, we're going to cover the forum agenda parallel events. So as an attendee, how we can access the forum agenda. You just have to click on it. You will be straight away redirect to the parallel events section. Right now, the first group you will be able to see this, our consultation day. We have the next session coming up on March 9th, and then the next session coming up on March 10th, and then the last one on March 12th. And similarly, our virtual and in-person events would be going live on March 11th and so on March 22nd. Now, as an attendee, I can add these sessions to my own schedule to create my personalized agenda. So what I'm going to do, I'll add this. Let's suppose I wanted to add this schedule, LAC, add to my schedule. Now you can see that this session has been added into my schedule. How I can see it, I just have to click on my schedule. Now, this will load and give you the result over here. Now you can see that this session now has been added into my schedule. So that's how you can just go to March 11th, 12th, add your session you wanted to join through virtually or in person. Just add it into your schedule and make your own schedule accordingly. And on the given day, you just have to click on my schedule. You don't need to go to the, let's suppose today is the date of March 12th. You don't need to go over here and join the sessions accordingly. In which sessions you wanted to join, you have already added into your schedule. Just click on my schedule. You will be able to see. So right now you can see that how you can join it now. The question comes out. So you can see there is a timer is going on right now. Once the timer will be up, there is automatically a join button appears. You just click on it and you will be redirected to the meeting accordingly. Just like you have joined this meeting, this Zoom meeting, you have clicked on the link and you redirect to this meeting room. Similarly, the same phenomena, you just click on the join button and you will be redirected to that meeting room accordingly. And you can use these different filters. We have days, time. You can see all the speakers. If you know any of the speaker and you wanted to see their session, which they are associated with, you can click on them and find their sessions accordingly. And we do have, let's suppose you just wanted to see only virtual session. We do have the type available. You can select virtual and search it accordingly. And then in each of the days, you can see only the virtual session listed over there.
Thank you
and let's
so
suppose
much, Momin. Can we just move to networking now? Is that okay?
Yep.
Great.
Okay.
Thank you.
We do have
That's
another
the
option.
virtual exhibit booths. I'm so excited. I want everybody to notice that. Okay, go ahead, Moment.
I'll just quickly cover. So we do have populated our virtual exhibit booths. So you can see the exhibit space over here. You can see that these spaces now are clickable. You can click on it and you will be redirected to their space accordingly. Let's suppose if I click on it over here and I'll be redirected to their booth space. And you can see their template over here, their chat room, their different document videos they are promoting over here. So you can go through all the information accordingly. And once you click on the chat button, you will be redirected to their chat room accordingly. And this is the public chat room. You can communicate with them. You can send messages and they can respond to you accordingly. So if I redirect now quickly to the networking hub. So networking hub is our space where we are populating the information for roundtables. So currently you will be able to see there are table 1 and table 2, and in upcoming days you will see all the rooms would be listed accordingly with their dates and time. But just give you an idea like how you can join it and how you can see the information accordingly. So once you click on it, you will see these 2 rooms, and once the timer will be up, you will be able to see this join button pops up. You can click on it and join the roundtable accordingly. And you can also choose your, let's suppose I wanted to sit it on this chair. So I can select from here as well. I can click on it and I can join the roundtable accordingly and participate in the discussion it is going on for that specific topic. And we do have an attendee section as well, where I can see all the attendee list who have registered for this event, and I can see the chat button against to each of the name. If I click on it, I'll start a private communication with that attendee, like a one-to-one communication. And similarly, we do have a lounge space where we have different, right now there is only networking. Public chat room is available. You can click on it and you will be redirected to that space according this chat room accordingly. This is a public chat room. You can promote your events over here as well, like this, like your event is going live on March 14th. That is virtual event. And if you are sharing a registration link, you can promote it over here as well. So attendee can pre-register, and you can similarly, if you are hosting a virtual exhibit booths as well, you can also promote your events over there in your booth chat rooms. And similarly, if you are organizing a handbook ad sponsors, you are advocate sponsor, you are supporter sponsor, or you are ally sponsor, you do have the booth space. You can promote your virtual parallel events in your booth space. And the front section, they don't have a booth space there. So when you click on any of the ad sponsors, you will be redirected to their website accordingly. And if I would cover the information desk as well, so information desk is our, you can redirect, like if you click on this banner on the left hand side, you will be redirected to the parallel agenda. And if you click on this visit the virtual exhibit booth, you will be redirected to the booth accordingly, same section. The event tech support is not active, but it will be active on 11th of March till 22nd of March. So the vFace team will also be available on the live day of the event to assist you if you are facing any of the issues. We will be available live in the tech support chat room, and you can mention an issue and we can assist you accordingly. Okay, so that's it for my side for today.
Thank you so much, Momin. You've been working so hard, and we're so grateful for your partnership and just all of the hard work you've done here. We're so grateful to you. I just want to reiterate here that in the chat box, Huri has mentioned that the virtual handbook is going to be available in 48 hours, and it's going to go out to everyone in 48 hours. There's a lot of questions coming in through the chat. I don't want anyone to feel like we're ignoring your questions. They're going to be answerable through the virtual handbook. So you're going to get that in 48 hours. And then also you could go back to our YouTube channel and just, review all this information that's being put up. So I just also want to reiterate here that we're going to have safety guidelines. We have safety guidelines in person and online. And we ask that everyone be respectful of each other. And if we can add those safety guidelines to the chat box, that would be great. And I am going to pass it over now to Rosa for advocacy priorities and recommendations.
Thank you so much, Suleka. Hello, greetings, saludos. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening. I'm Rosa Lizardi. I'm the Vice Chair of the NGO CSW Committee. I'm also the Global Director of the Feminist Task Force, convener for the Women's Working Group on Financing for Development. And I had the pleasure to work with some colleagues on advocacy and research recommendations. So that is the ARG, the Advocacy Research Group. And once again, I just want to thank all of those who participated in elaborating 6 recommendations. And I know this is a lot of information, so please know that all of this information we have on the website, but let me just briefly go over these recommendations because they're very important. I know that all of the parallel events and the advocacy and the networking is very important. But as my colleague Jillian noted at the beginning of this training, there are informal negotiations that are happening, particularly the second week. So for the 56% that are new to this, we do have these resources for you if you're advocating with your governments. So let me just go through very quickly. The process to outline these priority recommendations first went through our executive committee in terms of brainstorming with input from partners, from UN Women Expert Group, issues that we saw. And then we took it to you all, our constituency, in the form of a survey. And you all voted on the top 15. From those, we took the top 5 and added the youth intersectional recommendation. Now, the other priority areas were incorporated in an intersectional cross-cutting approach. So all of these recommendations were sent to member states back in December. They were sent to the 5 CSW Bureau members. They were sent to the actual 45 members of the Commission on the Status of Women. And they've been sent to our institutional colleagues, UN Women, and others. In brief, the recommendations are social justice and poverty, education and poverty, women's poverty and climate change, gender bias and economic policy, debt crisis and impact on women, and the youth intersectional recommendation. So let me just review some highlights, and we do have more information. Now, these recommendations are concise, bite-sized, digestible, so that you can present to governments. This is how they want information, and we do have supplements, resources, citations that buttress our recommendations, and they are online. So on social justice, we emphasize a just and equitable economic model that includes social justice and human rights to eradicate women and girls' poverty, as well as addressing and eliminating the root causes of poverty. We emphasize that the persistent repressive backlash against women's human rights must be countered by eliminating harmful attitudes, norms, and belief systems, and addressing human rights violations and abuse. For education and poverty, and some of these, especially education, delegations have already indicated, how this is a very important issue. We highlight gender-sensitive curriculum free of harmful gender stereotypes, as well as making curricula and pedagogies relevant for today and tomorrow with the comprehensive and integrated system of education and lifelong learning. Number 3, the intersection of women's poverty and climate change. We emphasize effective and sustainable design and development of adequately financed policies and programs to combat climate change, including in the area of agriculture, in order to eliminate multiple and intersecting economic challenges. Climate finance, a just transition, and access to land and technology are needed to support mitigation and adaptation efforts, and particularly the loss and damages in countries and frontline communities. Number 4, gender bias and economic policy. We emphasize a feminist and gender analysis is needed to be incorporated into economic policies to include its differentiated impact on women, including the impact of colonization. We emphasize closing the gender pay gap by equal pay legislation, pay transparency, and gender balanced leadership, as well as promoting equitable access to financial services through non-gender discriminatory policies and practices. On the debt crisis and its impact on women, we are urging governments to recognize and address social services such as health, education, water and sanitation, services ignored when funds are diverted to pay for public and private debt. Donor countries, we emphasize, must fulfill their commitment to 0.7% of gross national product, GNP, for overseas development assistance, and further earmarked funds for gender equality and women's rights organizations. Moreover, we emphasize supporting debt cancellation for recovery from a global turndown while investing in gender-sensitive public services, the care economy, and climate resilience. And our last recommendation is the youth intersectional recommendation, which we emphasize all of the five first recommendations, and a gender and youth perspective, intersecting issues that contribute to multi-generational poverty, such as climate change, the debt crisis, gender bias and economic policy, and access to education, and to ensure that young and future generations are not trapped in a cycle of poverty. Moreover, we emphasize financing for youth-led, adolescent-led, and girls-led organizations and networks. And this is long overdue and urgent action is needed. In closing, I just want to plug our advocacy resource that we have. It's a toolkit. It is brilliant. It has something for everyone, whether you're part of the 56% or that is first time. If you want to learn about advocating, or if you just have questions, please take a look. I know we're going to have that in the chat, the link for it. It is online, and it also has for the 46%. We know that this CSW, with the priority theme on addressing poverty and strengthening financing institutions, and its secondary theme on social protection systems, is very important to have a strong outcome document, agreed conclusions, because it feeds into other processes which come later, such as the Financing for Development Forum, the Summit of the Future, the Beijing +30 next year, and the 4th International Conference on Financing for Development. These issues are intertwined, so we hope that you will use these advocacy recommendations to push on these issues, push with your governments, and we'll take questions at the very end. So thank you so much, and back to you, Rosemary and Seleka.
Okay, we're going to be moving on to hear about youth leaders and young professionals.
All right. Thanks, Rosemary. Hi, everyone. I'm Annabelle Gregg. I'm one of the co-program coordinators at NGO CSW New York, and also one of the sort of interim co-chairs of the Youth Leaders and Young Professionals is what we're calling it. My co-everything, Rachel, is not here today, but she's integral in this. So just as sort of like a brief introduction to what the YLYP are, we're a community of young people and youth advocates who are passionate about global gender equality and looking to engage in or learn about the UN processes. And this year at CSW68, we have a lot of different ways that youth can get involved. First, we have the Youth Preparation Series, which just wrapped up last week, but as you can see, you can go back and watch all of these super insightful and interesting conversations led by our Global Youth Fellows on our YouTube. And I'll mention what the Global Youth Fellows are in a second, but we're also going to be having a youth panel conversation circle during the first week of CSW on Thursday, March 14th from 10 to 11:30. Again, and that'll be a really insightful conversation with some of our Global Youth Fellows. And we'll also be having a youth panel during Consultation Day, which you heard Huri mention. So that'll be an insightful conversation on how we can create a more just and equitable future. And we will also have youth participants at a civil society briefing on the 18th. So that will be exciting. And this year we're excited to announce the first cohort of Global Youth Fellows. We had over 500 applicants from all over the world. Global Youth Leaders for Gender Equality applied to this program, and we have selected 20 awesome Global Youth Fellows that were chosen for their dedication to gender equality, their diversity of experience that they bring to the UN, and their ability to inspire others. So our fellows are leading global campaigns to raise the visibility of gender issues, They're going to be speaking at our events. All of these events that I just mentioned are being led and moderated and paneled by our Global Youth Fellows. And they'll be telling their really inspiring stories and supporting efforts to advance global gender equality through a youth perspective. So I'll put some info in the chat about who our 20 Global Youth Fellows are. They're from all over the world. And also resources for youth that are interested in attending the forum, including our CSW training deck. But that's it for me.
Thanks.
Go ahead, Jillian.
Thanks very much, Annabelle. And last but not the least, we have a few minutes for question and answers. So if I can invite Rosa, Pam, Ivy, and Huri to join us on stage so we can take a few questions. I already have a few questions from the chat, so I'm gonna pose that to the our panelists already. So Audrey Muck asks, what is the difference between side events and parallel events? Naseen had a question on, is proof of ID required for in-person parallel events? And Bria has a question on how to live stream an in-person event. So if any of you would like to take these questions.
It sounds like it's about my alley. So I'll start from the back. I think I got the last two questions. I'm sorry, I was doing chat too. Live streaming is possible. All the in-person venues have Wi-Fi, and there will be a video and a mic. All the equipments are there, but we are warning people that no matter how advanced these systems are, they could be overwhelmed. So use your judgment. Do not count on just the Wi-Fi to stream in or stream out. It is available and you can do it, is what I'm going to say. But we like to have an in-person experience where everybody's in the room. So that would be my first choice. What was the second one? Oh, no passes needed. I have said this so many times. That's the beauty of NGO CSW. All of our events are free and open for you to roam around. I put in the document already where all the 3 buildings are. There's 5 rooms in the church center, 2 rooms at the Salvation Army, and 2 rooms at the Armenian Cultural Center, plus the big ballroom. So those 2 spaces are going to be very busy. Roam around, come in and out of parallel events, and enjoy yourselves.
Maybe just to add there, Huri, that the rooms have capacity and that will be enforced. So it's a good idea to get there early.
Yeah, I'd like to jump in because what we are suggesting is if you really want to stream, we suggest that you bring your own Wi-Fi. And that way you can stream it without any difficulty. We were discussing it yesterday with the management in the building. And the best thing is for people to bring their own Wi-Fi, whether it's from a hotspot on your phone or a hotspot on your computer, but to just bring the Wi-Fi. And I think one question was the difference between parallel events and side events. And parallel events are hosted at the forum. They're hosted by civil society, and anyone is able to join. The side events are official events hosted by member states, and you either need a pass or an invitation or a access to the UN, basically. So one is civil society and one is member states.
Thanks, Pam. And before I hand over to Suleka to take in person, there was a question on, do we have a date for Beijing +30? And Riju asked, how does one register for consultation days? So Rosa, if you'd like to take the first one and anyone the second.
Sure, thank you. Beijing +30 is the theme of next year's CSW, and UN Women already has that website up, and there is the link in the chat. You can just Google CSW69. So that theme reads is the main focus of the 69th session will be on the review and appraisal of the implementation of the Beijing Declaration and the Platform for Action, and the outcomes of the 23rd special session of the General Assembly, which is one of the reviews of Beijing. So it will include an assessment of current challenges that affect the implementation of the Platform for Action and achievement of gender equality and empowerment of women and its contributions to the full realization of the 2030 Agenda for Sustainable Development. So please check it out. All the 12 critical areas of concern are going to be involved. So it's going to be really, a space for every issue that you can bring that relates to those 12 critical areas will be relevant for Beijing Plus 30. Thanks, gentlemen.
Thank you so much, Rosa. So we are now set to take 3 live questions. Hopefully we'll have enough time for them. So I see Shreya Nath's hand up. You can go ahead and unmute yourself and ask your question.
Thank you so much, Shulekha. I'm coming from RISE. We are based in France, and we have a side session at the church gate. If I understand, that's the one that is free pass without any pass, and you can go as you wish. We have some our own members joining in, and we want to ensure that they do get a seat in the room and they don't get kicked out because the room is at capacity. So how do we ensure that we have a set few of people, around 20 to 30, but still we want to know that other people who are already at the event, they can also attend, and so can our members. That's my primary question. Thank you.
Sure. So I'll pose that question to the board. Anyone like to answer that one?
I'll jump right in because this actually gives me an opportunity to also reiterate what I said earlier. I really appeal to everyone's sense of humanity to use your judgment on how you participate and what you do and say in these rooms. For example, if you are the host, make sure you get into your room 15 minutes before, set up your room and start welcoming people as kindly as you can and letting them know that the limit is 40, 60, 70, 80. It's up to 200 at the Salvation Army auditorium. And then when you are at capacity, you need to have a team that can help you both manage your panel in the front and security at the door. It is really up to you to say, we are sorry, we are at capacity. Now, this doesn't mean every single event is going to be overcrowded. There are many event organizers who keep reaching out to me and say, how can we bring more people to our event? So let's hope that all of the events are well attended, right? But it is really up to you. You're the host for that 90 minutes plus the 15 minutes before and after. You're in charge of that room, and we want you to set the tone on how your event is going to go. After all, the topic you're discussing is more important, right? And the other security item that I want to mention is that if anybody starts disrupting, there is a way to really de-escalate. You can ask somebody to leave the room, and if they don't leave the room, at every location, there will be volunteers and experts who can intervene and remove someone who's disrupting. I have to tell you this, I've been doing this for 12 years. So, I mean, if you add it up, thousands of events that I have witnessed or been part of, we've had only 2 disruptions that I can think of that was necessary to ask someone to come in and help. So if you manage your space well, you're not going to have any disruptions and you're going to enjoy your event. And I think I'll stop there. I hope that answered your question as well.
Okay, thank you, Huri. We can go on to Tara Vasefi.
Hi all, thanks so much for all of this. I am coming as a representative of my local branch for Women's International League for Peace and Freedom. And I'm feeling like so excited and overwhelmed with all the different things that could be done. So what I've been doing is asking my branch to basically like send me inquiries to help guide my path while I'm there. And so I thought I'd just ask for you all or anyone else who has any ideas, like, you know, I've been asking them to give me inquiries, but I don't think they really know what to ask, and I don't know how to give them direction on that. So I just wanted to put this before you all. If you have any ideas, even if you can help me draft like the actual ask of what this is, but basically it's like, I'm going to be going there. There's no way I'm going to be able to take in everything. So I want to be able to at least take in the things that are meaningful to the people that I'm there on behalf of. How do I communicate that to them? And, you know, any other input that you have would be much appreciated. Thank you all so much.
Anyone on the panel with a delegation could really manage this. You know what do you tell your delegations on what to do, where to go, so take it on.
So I can go first. So I think if it's a first timer, it's good to attend some of the official sessions to really understand how the process works and what's actually going on. It's then also good to attend sessions which are held by the NGO Committee, which is our parallel events, because that gives you a large insight of what's happening, what on-ground work is taking place. If you want to understand where NGOs are at, what collaborations are possible. So I would suggest a little bit of everything based on if this is your first time or not. But start with the official sessions because that's primarily where we will have an agreed conclusion coming out. And I'm going to pass to one of our co-chairs if they'd like to jump in.
I'd like to jump in with our Zonta International UN Committee. What we've done in the past is we've divided into content themes. So three people may be interested in education and three may be interested in finance, etc. And people focused on those areas with the idea that we would come together and discuss and share information. And that worked quite well. It was actually our district chairs and UN committee. Yeah.
Yeah, I would just add that, what is your delegations? What are their priorities? They will have priorities. They will have issues that they are pushing, and they will have briefings. So you want to go to those briefings and you want to find out what are their priorities. Do they align with your organization's priorities? Is there one issue that you can be like that, watchdog, just like going after it and pushing all the time? And focus on that issue, and then choose side events where you can go. Side events are great, and parallel events, because you can actually go up to the speakers afterwards and connect with them. They're there, they're accessible, you exchange cards. So they're a really great opportunity to just push your issues and raise your hand and highlight your issues.
All right. Thank you so much, Pamela, Rosa, Jillian. Okay, we're going to take one last question from Anne Jeanette Harp. If you'd like to unmute yourself. Great.
Yes, thank you so much. I am so excited. I'm going to be a first-time attendee.
Oh,
I wanted
welcome.
to know, one of my questions is answered, but I did fill out early on a form to volunteer. It was a Google form to volunteer at the NGO CSW68. I'm called to serve. I volunteer all the time, but I never heard back from anyone. I kept checking my email, so that is what I wanted to ask. The lady said that there would be volunteers at different events and things like that, and I never heard back from anyone. Thank you.
Perfect timing, and I'll be very quick.
much.
Thank you for volunteering. We are having a training tomorrow. We're actually sending out emails today to let you know. I know we're very, very short on time.
Thank you.
And you're going to have fun. It's going to be a fun, and thank you for volunteering. You will hear from us today. Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, amazing. Thank you so much, everyone, and thank you for coming on. We should we load the Mentimeter?
There's just one more hand. Is it okay to take the last?
Yeah, I think we can take it. We have one more minute. Sure. Ahioma Obibi, would you like
Yes,
to
hi
unmute yourself?
there, all the way from Lagos, Nigeria.
Hello.
Thank you, ladies, for a work well done. This is not my first time attending, but this time I will be coming with my daughter and a colleague. Now, what I wanted to, two things. The first is, when we log in from our end, on the attendees, we don't see any registered attendees. It's almost like it's not working, and we've tried Chrome, Firefox, and Edge, and it's still not appearing. So I really would have liked the IT guy that was there earlier to speak to it. Maybe we're doing something wrong. We are registered. We have a virtual event happening on the 12th, but I have always met all my other friends through the list. You know, you see them on the list and you say, oh, let's meet up for tea or coffee. But this time we can't do it because it's not working.
Yeah, I could quickly, because I think that could be a technical issue, because I saw some emails on that. So maybe Momin, we can address it with him. We have a meeting a little later again with him and just go over it one more time to make sure, yeah, that it works for everybody.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you. It should work, but yeah.
Okay, wonderful. Thank you so much for all of your questions and for coming on. Can we load the Mentimeter?
One second.
Great.
There we go.
Okay, what word best describes your current mood?
It's wonderful to see how people are feeling in real time after a session. I see hopeful, excited, overwhelmed, energized, to give you a sense of how people are feeling. And I wanted to it's really nice to see people saying they're ready and enthusiastic. And with that, I'd like to invite everyone in true NGO CSW fashion to unmute themselves, turn on their videos, so we can say a warm goodbye to each other, and to some of you to see you next week in person. We look forward to welcoming you and connecting with you. Bye, everyone.
Bye, everyone.
Thank you.
Bye. Bye.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Bye.
See you all.
so much.
Thank you.
Bye.
Wow. Thank you. See you
Thank you so
soon.
much.
Adios.
Thank you.
Gracias.